In the age of the internet, a website brought together two souls with a shared, macabre fantasy. One seeking the ultimate sacrifice, the other offering himself as the ultimate meal. This is the story of Armin Meiwes and the unthinkable contract that bound them together. A chilling narrative unfolded in German town of Essen, where a man named Armin Meiwes lived a life that was anything but ordinary. To the outside world, Meiwes was an unassuming computer repairman, but beneath this facade, he harbored a dark and gruesome secret. Meiwes was a cannibal, but not just any cannibal, he was a man who committed heinous acts with a willing participant. His victim, Bernd Brandes, had answered an advertisement Meiwes had placed in a gay magazine, seeking someone who was willing to be killed and eaten. The unimaginable horror of this crime is only compounded by the fact that Brandes volunteered for this gruesome fate. It's a chilling tale of a man who crossed the boundaries of morality and entered a realm of unthinkable depravity. But this was not a spur-of-the-moment act, nor was it a case of sudden madness. It was a deliberate and premeditated act, one that Meiwes had fantasized about for a long time. He meticulously planned and executed his crime, taking his victim's life in the most gruesome manner imaginable. This was not just a murder. It was a crime that involved the consumption of human flesh, a crime that shocked the world and left a permanent scar on the town of Rothenburg. But behind this shocking crime lie deeper questions. What drove Meiwes to commit such a horrifying act? What kind of man was he? And how did he manage to find someone willing to participate in his dark fantasy? But how did an ordinary computer repairman become the infamous German cannibal? As we delve into the life of Armin Meiwes, we will explore these questions and more, attempting to unravel the mystery of a man whose actions have left a lasting mark on the annals of criminal history. To understand the man behind the crime, we must first delve into his past. Armin Meiwes was born in 1961, in the small German town of Essen. His early life was far from ordinary. He was the youngest child and the only son in a family of 3 children. His father, a stern and distant figure, abandoned the family when Armin was only 8 years old. This left him and his sisters under the care of their domineering and possessive mother, who ensured that her son had little contact with the outside world. Young Armin found solace in a parallel universe, one he created in his mind. He developed an imaginary brother whom he named Frank. Frank was someone Armin could share his deepest and darkest thoughts with. It was during these formative years that Armin's fascination with the idea of consuming human flesh began to take root. As Armin grew older, his mother's overbearing presence continued to dominate his life. She discouraged friendships and romantic relationships, leaving him isolated and lonely. This further fueled his fantasies, providing a dark refuge from his stifling reality. When Armin's mother passed away in the mid-90s, he was left alone in their large, rambling farmhouse. The loss of the only significant relationship in his life left him with a profound sense of loneliness. This loneliness, combined with his deeply ingrained macabre fantasies, would soon lead him down a path of unimaginable horror. Armin's life was a perfect storm of isolation, domination, and dark fantasies. His story is a chilling reminder of the potential effects of a troubled upbringing. It is the tale of a man who sought companionship and intimacy in the most horrifying way imaginable. The seeds of his disturbing obsession were sown early in his life. In the vast expanse of the internet, Meiwes found the perfect hunting ground, a dark corner where like-minded individuals congregated, a place known as the Cannibal Cafe, a forum far removed from the typical social media platforms many of us frequent. This was an online space where the macabre, the unthinkable, was not only discussed but sought after. The Cannibal Cafe, despite its shocking theme, was, in its heyday, a bustling online hub. Here, individuals with a gruesome fascination for cannibalism would gather, sharing twisted fantasies and ghoulish desires. It was in this eerie landscape that Meiwes placed an advertisement unlike any other. His request was simple, but chilling. He sought a willing participant, someone who would voluntarily succumb to his darkest wish, to be killed and consumed. It's a request that seems too horrific to be real, too dreadful to be anything but sick fiction. And yet, it was a call that was heard and responded to. The ad's placement in a gay magazine added another layer of complexity to the narrative, revealing the depths to which Meiwes would go to find his prey. It's a chilling testament to the dark underbelly of the internet, where even the most horrifying fantasies can find an audience. The advertisement and the forum it was placed on served as a disturbing reminder of the dark corners of the web, where the unthinkable can and does happen. The Cannibal Cafe, with its gruesome theme and users, shone a harsh light on the terrifying potential of the internet, a place where even the most monstrous of desires can find a home. And finally, he found the willing victim he had been searching for. When Bernd Brandes answered Meiwes' ad, neither of them could have foreseen the horrific outcome. In the eerie world of the internet, connections are formed, some mundane, others extraordinary, and in this case, terrifyingly grotesque. Armin Meiwes, a seemingly ordinary computer technician, had placed an ad in a gay magazine, a call that would be answered by Bernd Brandes, an engineer from Berlin. A shared fascination, one deemed too dark for society's acceptance, drew them together, a fascination with cannibalism. Their meeting was not the result of chance or a random encounter. It was the culmination of a meticulous search by Meiwes, a predator prowling the digital landscape for his willing victim. Brandes, on the other hand, was driven by a macabre desire to be consumed. It was a deadly pact, formed in the shadows of the internet and executed in the quiet isolation of Meiwes' farmhouse in Rottenburg. The details of their encounter are chilling. Brandes traveled to Meiwes' home, a decision that sealed his fate. The events that unfolded on that fateful night are not for the faint-hearted. They engaged in acts that were gruesome and inhumane. Brandes was subjected to unimaginable suffering, his body mutilated in the process. Following a botched attempt at self-castration, Meiwes proceeded to amputate Brandes' organ, an act that was horrifyingly agreed upon. In the chilling silence of the farmhouse, Brandes was subjected to further horrors. Meiwes, in a grotesque display of inhumanity, fried and consumed the amputated organ in the presence of his dying victim. As Brandes succumbed to his injuries, Meiwes stabbed him in the heart, marking the end of a life and the beginning of a crime that would shock the world. The encounter between Meiwes and Brandes was a twisted dance between predator and prey, a dance that ended in the most horrific of ways. It was a night marked by unimaginable cruelty and the darkest aspects of human nature. What followed next was a crime that defied comprehension. The discovery of the crime sent shockwaves through the community and beyond. This heinous act, committed by Armin Meiwes, was nothing short of a nightmare that had become a reality. The investigative wheels started turning when a student stumbled upon Meiwes' advertisement on a website known as the Cannibal Cafe. The alarm was raised, and the authorities were notified. The initial disbelief of the investigators soon gave way to a grim determination as they began to unravel the horrific truth. The police embarked on a thorough and meticulous investigation. They sifted through countless online interactions on the Cannibal Cafe, a dark web forum that had become Meiwes' hunting ground. The evidence was mounting, and the reality was sinking in. This was no hoax or sick joke. This was a real, shocking crime that had taken place right under their noses. As the police delved deeper, they discovered the gruesome details of the encounter between Meiwes and his victim, Bernd Brandes. The two had met through the website where Meiwes had placed an advertisement seeking a willing participant for his macabre desires. The digital footprints left by their interactions led the police to Meiwes' doorstep. Upon searching Meiwes' residence, the investigators were met with a chilling sight. The remnants of the crime were still present, a grisly testament to the horrific act that had transpired. Meiwes was taken into custody, and the full extent of his crimes began to unravel as he confessed to his actions. The investigation was a testament to the dedication and tenacity of the police force. Their relentless pursuit of justice led to the capture of a man who had committed an unthinkable crime. This was not just an investigation into a murder, it was an exploration into the depths of human depravity. As the news of Meiwes' arrest spread, the world was left in shock and disbelief. But this was just the beginning. The world was about to learn the chilling truth. In the courtroom, the full horror of Meiwes' actions came to light. The trial of Armin Meiwes was a spectacle that gripped not just Germany, but the world. As the chilling details of his crime were unveiled, a collective gasp echoed through the courtroom. The graphic nature of his actions, the calculated planning, and the depraved indifference to human life left spectators and jury members aghast. Meiwes' defense was as extraordinary as the crime itself. He claimed that his victim, Bernd Brandes, had given his consent to be killed and eaten, effectively turning himself into a willing sacrifice. This was a defense strategy that had never been seen before in the annals of German law. The public reaction was a mix of shock, disgust, and morbid curiosity. The trial was closely followed by millions, both at home and abroad. Some sought to understand the mind of a man who could commit such a heinous act, while others were simply drawn to the macabre spectacle. The final verdict, however, was clear and unequivocal. Meiwes was found guilty of murder and disturbance of the peace, and in 2006 he was sentenced to life imprisonment. This was a significant increase from his initial conviction in 2004 for manslaughter, and a testament to the severity of his crime. Despite the horror of his actions, the case raised complex legal and ethical questions. What constitutes consent when it involves one's own death? Can a person willingly become a victim, and if so, should the perpetrator be held fully accountable? These questions continue to be debated, adding a layer of complexity to an already incomprehensible crime. In the wake of the trial, Germany and the world were left grappling with the implications of the case. The horrifying details of Armin Meiwes' crime had sent shockwaves through the society, prompting a deep introspection into the dark abyss of human nature. For Germany, the case brought about significant legal changes. The country's laws had no specific provisions to address a crime of this nature. A willing victim and a consenting perpetrator, both meeting under the most macabre circumstances. As a result, the German legal system took measures to fill in the gaps, introducing a new law that criminalized the act of disturbing the peace of the dead. Public reaction was a mix of horror, disbelief, and morbid fascination. The case dominated headlines, with the media dissecting every detail. Conversations around the judicial system, internet regulation, and the human capacity for cruelty took center stage. In the realm of psychology, the case of Armin Meiwes presented a unique study. Despite his gruesome acts, Meiwes was described as friendly and polite by those who interacted with him in prison. However, a psychologist's report revealed that he still harbored fantasies about devouring the flesh of young people, suggesting the possibility of him reoffending. His application for probation became a contentious issue, with the Frankfurt State Prosecutor's Office strongly opposing it. The aftermath of the case was a period of reflection, learning, and change. It underlined the need for increased vigilance in the digital age and a more comprehensive understanding of human psychology. It also served as a grim reminder of the depths to which humanity can plunge, given the right circumstances. But the story of the German cannibal doesn't end there. Behind bars, Meiwes continues to fascinate and horrify. Armin Meiwes, the man infamously known as the German Cannibal, remains a figure of macabre interest. His life inside prison, much like his life outside it, is anything but ordinary. Having been a prisoner since 2006, Meiwes is described by many as friendly and polite, a seemingly stark contrast to the persona of a man who committed such a heinous act. Despite his good behavior, the shadows of his crime linger. His fascination with cannibalism, it seems, has not waned. A psychologist who has had interactions with Meiwes behind bars has stated that the convicted murderer still harbors fantasies about devouring the flesh of young people. This chilling revelation brings to the fore the ongoing concern about his potential to re-offend should he ever be released. In a turn of events that may seem shocking to some, Meiwes has been allowed to go for walks around town, albeit under the watchful eyes of 2 officers. This decision, controversial as it may be, was taken in accordance with German prison regulations. There have been attempts by Meiwes to seek parole. He has applied for probation, seeking a chance to live outside the prison walls again. However, the Frankfurt State Prosecutor's Office has requested that this be denied. The haunting memories of his crime, coupled with the psychologist's assessment of his unchanged fantasies, make the prospect of his release a daunting one. In the end, the story of the German cannibal serves as a chilling reminder of the darkest corners of the human psyche. This tale, as horrifying as it is fascinating, leaves us with a stark reminder of the depths to which humanity can plunge. It forces us to question our understanding of human nature, our capacity for evil, and the thin line that separates civility from savagery. The case of Armin Meiwes is a stark reminder of the unfathomable depths of human depravity. It's a tale that begins with an unthinkable crime, a man consumed by a dark desire, using the anonymity of the internet as his hunting ground. We've traced his journey, from his early life to the chilling encounter with Bernd Brandes, his willing victim, and the subsequent investigation that exposed his gruesome secret. We've examined the trial that gripped the world, where Meiwes' disturbing actions were laid bare for all to see. And we've delved into the aftermath, the ripples of shock that still echo through the corridors of justice and the annals of true crime history. Today, Meiwes remains a figure of morbid fascination, his life behind bars a testament to the power of the law, but also a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk within the human soul. Despite his friendly and polite demeanor, Psychologists warn that he could re-offend, his fantasies of devouring the flesh of young people still very much alive. This story, like many true crime tales, serves as a mirror to our society, reflecting our enduring fascination with the macabre and the monstrous. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that evil can exist in the most ordinary of places and within the most ordinary of people. As we draw the curtain on this dark chapter, we're left with more questions than answers. What drives a man like Meiwes? How can we protect ourselves and our loved ones from such unthinkable horrors? And perhaps most importantly, what can we learn from these shocking cases to prevent them from happening again? And as you ponder this chilling tale, we invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below.